with the distinct possibility that Bernie Sanders will be unable to catch up with Joe Biden in the Democratic primary. Some of Bernie Sanders supporters are trying to figure out what to do going forward, right? How to make the party at least more responsive to progressive priorities. And many of them are taking some inspiration from an old video featuring MSNBC host Lawrence O'Donnell. Let's take a look at that video.
If you want to pull the party, the major party that is closest to the way you're thinking, to what you're thinking, you must show them that you're capable of not voting for them.
Because the way the Democratic Party is run now for quite a number of presidential cycles is they pick a nominee in a kind of half-assed process that doesn't really represent much of anybody. And then they tell everybody to just shut up. Don't bring up anything that will complicate life for your nominee. You know he's not for you on this. Why badger him? He's not going to be for you for reasons that you don't understand but are good reasons. Shut up. Turn off your brains.
If you don't show them you're capable of not voting for them, they don't have to listen to you. I promise you that. I worked within the Democratic Party. I didn't listen or have to listen to anything on the left while I was working in the Democratic Party because the left had nowhere to go.
So look, that right there, that's 2006, right? When he said this. This was during a documentary about Ralph Nader called An Unreasonable Man, right? So I urge you guys, check that out. So he was talking with William Greeter of The Nation magazine. And so right there was a great explanation of how corporate Democrats think. I mean, shut up. Don't hurt the presumptive nominee that we chose through a ridiculous primary process, which I think a lot of us can figure out that it's ridiculous. It's a little bit less ridiculous than it was in 2016, where we had the super delegates, which are 100% undemocratic in the Democratic Party. And so we come out with this terrible nominee that now we're told that we can't criticize and that we have to vote for this person because, if you don't, well, we're going to get something bad, right? And so, look, it's really tough for me to listen to him back then and find an argument against that. Look, for as long as I've been in politics, I've noticed one thing. Democrats haven't given a crap about what progressives think. And I also hear the same thing from members of the Black community, where Democrats also don't give a crap about their issues. So those are, and a lot of, obviously, African Americans are progressives as well, at least the young ones, right? And generally older, not just all older African Americans. You can't put them all into one box, obviously, but you've got older African American voters who are more on the more trend towards conservative side, and older Democratic voters in general that tend to vote more conservative, right? And again, you can't put really anybody in a box because there's a lot of older progressives as well that vote very progressive. But understand that that's where where things kind of trend, right? But really, the overall point of pointing that out of how progressives are taken for granted is because, well, where do you have to go? I mean, look, he just said, where do you have to go? The Republican Party is monstrous. You can't vote for them, right? And now third parties. Look, third parties would be a great idea. Unfortunately, they don't have the power and the infrastructure. The Green Party doesn't really have any sort of organization to it. And so they're not really a relevant power player in our system. And so where do you go, right? And the answer, of course, that you have to arrive to, and it's kind of expected and set up that way, is that you don't have anywhere to go. Progressives have nowhere to go. And so this is where it frustrates me about Bernie Sanders. You guys know I'm a Bernie Sanders supporter. You can call me Bernie, bro. I don't really care, right? Uh, Bernie Sanders, though, frustrates me when he says, Joe Biden is my friend and Joe Biden can win. You know, he said that same thing about Hillary Clinton back in 2016. Hillary Clinton can win. So that's why you should support her. And look, he begged us to support her, and a lot of us did, right? Over 80% of Bernie Sanders supporters voted and supported Hillary Clinton, right? But here's the thing. During that time, or at least before she clinched the nomination, we were saying, screaming from the rooftops, Hillary Clinton is going to lose to Donald Trump. Please don't nominate her. And so what happened? Hillary Clinton lost. We're saying the same thing about Joe Biden. It's not because we don't like Joe Biden, right? It's because he has got a mountain of baggage. He will lose to Donald Trump because there are issues, for example, like trade, where Donald Trump can successfully hit him from the left. Never allow a Republican to hit you from the left. It looks terrible. But the thing is that they don't listen to us as progressives because in the end, we all fall in line. Again, going back to Bernie supporters who supported Hillary Clinton in her nomination in 2016. Or I'm sorry, in the general election in 2016. Only 12% of Bernie supporters didn't vote or voted for Trump. Those people were independents. They were going to vote for Hillary Clinton anyway, right? Now, compare that to the 25% of Clinton supporters during 2008 that voted for John McCain over Barack Obama. You know what they called themselves? Pumas. It stands for Party Unity My Ass. These were moderate voters, right? These were the moderate centrists who didn't like the progressivism that Barack Obama was espousing. So they went to a more conservative option or something that more matched their values, John McCain. Those same people are solidly never Bernie, along with people like, for example, Rick Wilson, Jennifer Rubin. These are former Republicans that are never Trumpers, that have joined the Democratic Party and tried to decide what our nominee is going to be. Those are the people that would go and vote for Donald Trump without an issue if someone like Bernie Sanders were the nominee. You see where we're going, right? Progressives always fall in line because, hey, we got to avoid something worse like Donald Trump or a worse Donald Trump or Mitt Romney or something terrible. But these people who are never progressive, they're never impacted. They don't care. And so, of course, they'll, of course, vote for the Republican if they don't get their moderate centrist Democrat. And so this is who the establishment always listens to and defers to. That's the problem. It's not because there are more of them. Progressive leaning independents and Democrats actually make up a huge part of the base, which is why progressives or people running on progressive policy tend to do a little bit better in presidential elections where you have more people paying attention and more people voting. Again, Barack Obama is a great example of that. He ran on literal hope and change. Hillary Clinton did not run on change. She ran on no change. Joe Biden is not running on any change. And again, speaking of Joe Biden, there's a huge danger now that the danger of Bernie Sanders running away with the thing and winning is now out of their minds completely. They think they got this whole thing wrapped up now. But then they realize, oh, wait, we don't have young people. Where are the young people? Nobody's voting for Joe Biden. In fact, what was it? 83% of 18 to 29-year-olds voted for Bernie Sanders. They do not support Biden. They're not lining up behind Biden. And so that's a problem. And privately, now they're freaking out. But why would they get young people? Biden was responsible for the bankruptcy bill, which stops people from discharging student loans through bankruptcy, right? Not only that, but Joe Biden famously declared that he has no empathy for young people who are overwhelmingly progressive and support progressive policy. And so this is why O'Donnell's words are resonating. They're going to ignore us unless we have the capability of showing them that we can say no. We're not going to vote for you unless you reach out our way. Now, I'm not saying vote for Trump or stay home. What I'm saying is show that you're, willing to say that, right? Say, no, we're not going to fall in line unless you come our way. You give us something, right, to get us to turn out, and then we'll turn out. But you've got to show that you have that power. Reach out. And so far, they have done a very poor job in doing so, at least when it comes to policy, right? Now, they can go out and say, well, you're welcome to be part of our movement. Thank you for the energy, et cetera, all they want. But that doesn't help us at all, right? No, you've got to reach out with policy positions. For example, Biden, right? A Medicare for all. One of the things that he didn't do is that he basically says, we're going to veto Medicare for all if it comes to my desk. If it somehow gets to the House and the Senate, right, which is already difficult enough as it is, and it would show that there is serious momentum behind that piece of legislation, he says no. No, it's not going to happen. Not going to happen. Now, understand, right, that I know some of you might see this as, okay, well, you need to vote for Trump just because you didn't get your guy. Well, that's so selfish and that's so rude and terrible. Why you guys got to throw a tantrum because you're not getting your way? No, understand that this actually, what Lawrence is saying there is that progressives need to exercise their power. The same power that the moderates have used. Again, 25% of Clinton supporters voted for McCain. They said, we will show you that we have the capability of saying no. But progressives never do. And you know why? It's because progressives care too much. We do. We care about our fellow human beings. We know that there's going to be a lot of hurt if Trump wins again. We know the environment will suffer even more from our damage. And that's why it is so difficult for us to be able to exercise any power. Because what they have, and I don't have a solution to it, is they've got us over a barrel. They've got the hostages. And Republicans and corporate Democrats are going to kill the hostages. No matter what, though, they're killing the hostages. And so we've got kids in cages. We've got our brown and black brothers and sisters that are suffering right now. And so it's really difficult for us to say no. And that's the thing. But we've got to realize, though, that this is also happening under centrist and moderate rule. I mean, look, under Obama, we still had kids in cages. Not as many, but we had deportations. We had all these other issues with putting up fencing, not a giant wall, but fences, right? And so, look, we also had very little effort on climate change. I know they talk about the Paris Climate Accord, right? But here's the thing. As I mentioned, it was non-binding, the Paris Climate Accord, and didn't do enough to reach that deadline, right? To go beyond or to not hit 2 degrees Celsius, right? No, we needed bolder action. Now, look, Trump has reversed that, and now we're basically stepping on the gas. It's even worse, and I totally understand that, right? But again, what we have from centrists is not enough. And look, as far as some of the policies that were already there, look, understand that Donald Trump has taken existing terrible policy put in by centrist Democrats and made it worse. I mean, he didn't come up with signature strikes. Trump didn't. No, he expanded it. No, Obama didn't come up with it either. But he expanded it. He had a kill list. And now it came to Donald Trump. Donald Trump didn't create the massive levels of wealth and income inequality. Obama didn't either. But both got bigger under their watch. I mean, that should show that the whole system fundamentally is broken. And voting for another centrist and not doing progressive policy is not going to fix those issues. And so, look, maybe we should just, I'm not saying or telling you what you should do, but I'm just giving you another side of that argument, because I see that, hey, look, not voting for Biden is a vote for Trump. Not voting is a vote for Trump. I get that. It doesn't necessarily have to be that you promise not to vote or that you don't actually vote. You just tell them that you're not going to in order to try to extract concessions. That's how a lot of political things operate. Just the threat could be enough from enough people to get them to say, oh, okay, wait a minute, hold on. Maybe we will. But we're not going to get to that point of being able to extract those concessions in response to our vote if we already give up like what Bernie Sanders has, where he said, don't worry, I'm going to vote and support Joe Biden no matter what. I understand why he did it. He'll get pilloried for it, and understand that we are too, but we've already been blamed since 2016 for the loss of Hillary Clinton, even though we overwhelmingly supported Hillary Clinton. And so I just want you guys to think about what Lawrence O'Donnell is saying and maybe consider projecting some of that strength to get them to listen to us by openly saying, no, we're not, unless you reach out to us. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm going to have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.